I was told to deliver this message. You think you're invincible because you got money, bombs, guns, and planes, killing babies, innocent people. I think you're insane. Chaos and destruction is the name of your game. Somebody's got to stop you before the whole world goes up in flames. So he told me to tell you, I'll
fight for my brothers. We can go to war. Fighting for my father, I will give my life for. I feel so alone in this white man's world. Whip it in the kitchen, watch that white turn pearl. Standing on the corner, standing on my phone. Standing with my gangsters, but I'm standing on my own. If you got to be alone, split you like you be alone. Sacrifice my life, understanding each his own. Toast to the keys of success. Bel Air rose on my breath. I've been a student since '03, and we can fight till we see peace.
I fight like that. 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 I fight like that.
Let me holler at you for a minute, give you game. Real scrappy, love the bottom Buddha bang. Trigger happy, and everybody in the game. You shot your family and didn't even know it, man. Same rules, same code, with a different slang. Struck him out, now they took him out the picture frame. Mama, don't cry, we gon' get by. 2 weeks later, got killed in a drive. Why must we fight amongst each other? Reach one, each one, teach one, my brother. I teach them how to fight on the grass and in the class. Snoop Dogg, all stars, yes sir, they coming fast. D1, football, we won. Now proud of my son, Lil Snoop, yes sir, cause he won. Right on, SC, fight on. We 100, keep it coming, dip, slip, slide on, light on.
I fight like that. 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 I fight like that.
Watching the warriors, the story of the rebels. You from the ghetto, did you know never to settle? I'm shooting common on the streets, I'm a pharaoh. Battling in African-American apparel. This on a t-shirt, youngins doing street work. Grinding till they teeth hurt, that's because they need work. Working till the feet hurt, trying to get my soul right. Used to be on old bikes, serving them that cold white. Wars in the winters, the block is hot in summers. Today's mathematics, we know it's strength in numbers. To the bosses and the runners, the hustlers and the stunners. We fight for the hundreds, we fight for the oneness.
He fights with the heat. He fights with the sleet. He said, I am who I am. I can't be beat. Nobody has won a war against me.
All of the nations of the earth as we speak, they're angry because government cannot fight for you. They're angry because a few have gotten wealthy at the expense of the many. And the poor and the sick and the weak and the unlearned multiply. And the value of their lives are diminished by the rich and the powerful, so that when human life is devalued, that in the eyes of man you are unworthy of the gift of life, then it is easy for another human being to take the life of another human being that he or she has devalued. Black life in America is devalued. Hispanic life is devalued. Even poor white life is devalued. There's a way that I have to behave. I'm free, but I'm not free to rob you of yours. I'm not free to take from you what does not belong to me. So if I will construct my life according to these righteous principles, then between man and man, man and woman, peace. Between race and race, peace. Between rich and poor, peace. We have our beautiful Mexican family. This once was theirs. So you can't say to them they are aliens. That's a horrible word to use for former owners. I see my indigenous family here. Many tribes, but they're really one great nation of people that now must be reunited with themselves. So it's their time now, as well as ours, that God would intervene in our affairs. When they send you away to kill. When you come home, they gotta reconstitute you for civilian life again. Make sure you have a job so you can take care of your family, but they're not doing it. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, a woman can do anything that a man does, and the only thing he forbids the woman to do is the thing that degrades her. So how high can you go? High as you want to. Why would God allow the female to wear his attributes if you can't be a manifestation of that attribute? Women, you got to be set free. What God has put within you must be cultivated, must be developed, and must be used for the advancement of a nation and a world. I said to myself, Mr. President, why the hell don't you go to the wicked police department? Why the hell don't you stand up and tell them that your killing of black youth and brown youth is not gonna hold no more? Why don't you stand up? God's world is in need of a truth that will set up a government where everybody can live in peace, under real freedom, real justice, and real equality.
This city has always fascinated me, the city of Frankfurt. known to be a city of trade and economic growth. As a kid, I was amazed by handing over a piece of paper for ice cream, toys, and candy. Handing over such a paper and receiving a toy racetrack in return, I just could not believe it. Where could I get this magic paper? This idea I couldn't get out of my mind. I started asking questions and read every book I could find. I learned the money was backed by gold as a paper form to save us carrying it around. Something of real value behind the paper. But everything was changed. The value was capped and the gold standard, as it was called, was abolished. Since then, the value of money has been the biggest lie of all. The dollar bill is now just a paper subject to inflation and devaluation. This must stop. The solution returning to a piece of gold that you can actually hold and it holds value or even better cash gold. Paper pressed and refined with real gold. A masterpiece solution, a forgery-proof, totally digital cryptocurrency. Here I am in the city of money, but not as a banker or a gold dealer. The Frankfurter Book Fair has invited me to read from my books that will help the world believe in gold again. Think Big will help show people how to be successful. I am very proud to be here.
Be seated in the presence of the Lord. This is one message. It's going to take 7 weeks, but it's one message. That's a long-winded preacher y'all got over there. Y'all's pastor started the sermon, took him 7 weeks to finish it. Glory to God. I preached the same text for 3 nights in the revival. So I'm going to preach, them spiders and locusts and what all was it, ants, the conies. We had all of that. Hallelujah. I got a letter from somebody the other day, and it was signed Spider-Man. I said, all right, you got the word down in you. You get the word, I hear you. Amen. I heard saints arguing over which night was the best night and which insect was the greatest insect, and some of them said it was the spiders, and others said, no, it was the locust. And one lady got mad, no, it was the ants. Can't you see it was the ant? And, well, if you weren't here, I know that doesn't make any sense at all, but it's okay. What are you going to do with the life you have left? Teaching 7 steps to a turnaround. The first step was exposure. Are you ready for step number 2? Step number 2 is decisions. Decisions. I talked to you about being exposed. When you are exposed to things, it gives you options. Options give you choices, and choices require decisions. It is critically important that you make this next step into sound decisions. Some people are afraid to make decisions. They just contemplate the options for years and miss the opportunity to change their life because they miss the time factor that is involved in making a great decision. You cannot make a great decision whenever you want to. A great decision has a shelf life. Some people make great decisions too late. I've seen people who had beautiful voices and they launched their career too late. They should have been out there singing when they were young, but they waited till they gotten older. Now you're out there, you're doing something, you can do it real good, but you miss your season. And you up here, let's twist again like we did last summer. Woo, let's twist again like we did last year. Can't nobody do the twist like me. That's wonderful, but they're not doing that no more. It's wonderful. You can do it real good. And if you'd done that 10 years ago, you might have been famous. But because you were afraid to make decisions in the door of opportunity, you missed it. That's why it's important that you understand decisions and that you operate in decisions, because if you don't start operating the benefit of decisions, you're going to miss the opportunity that God has for you. Decisions, the decisions that you make are going to be the path to your destiny. There is a correlation between your destiny and your decisions. Your destiny speaks to where you're going to end up. Your decisions show me how you're going to get there. If your decisions don't start working with your destiny, you're going to spend your life going in circles. What are you going to do with the rest of your life? Be it a week or 30 years, what are you going to do? You have the right to decide what you're going to do. I have a great passion to talk about decisions because the Lord has taught me, sometimes the hard way, the value of making good decisions. It's important to make good decisions. You cannot make a good decision with bad information. I want to talk about it very practically. On the very practical standpoint, you cannot make great decisions with poor information. How many of you have ever made a decision and then you got more information and you said, well, if I'd have known that. You got great information, but you got it too late. You made the decision with poor information and now you suffer the consequences. It's critical. I was watching TV last night, and there was a judge on TV, and he was getting ready to execute somebody that they had for murder, and I mean down to the last day before the execution, they was getting ready to have everything for a lethal injection in place to execute it, and the attorney brought in new information that changed it. Did you see that? You saw that? Man, wasn't that something? Changed the whole decision because it got more information. How many times would you change your decision if you'd have got more information? If Fred would have told me he was a homosexual, I would have never married him. I do that for shock effect. It worked too, didn't it? It just got you. Pow. No, he didn't say that. Yes, he did. Decisions. I'm not saying you should have, shouldn't, but when you have the right information, you can make the right decisions. If you don't have the right information, it is impossible to make a sound, intelligent decision. You don't know. I'm going to build this house. Don't know what it costs. Bless God, I'm going to build it. No, you're not. You can't make a great decision with poor information. You've got to have good information. So when I start talking to you about decisions, there are a series of decisions that you need to put in motion. As you put those things in motion, it's going to change your life. I also want to warn you of the danger of making no decision. When you get through being exposed, and I've been teaching you about exposure, and you get to going through all those options about being exposed, and you keep looking at all the options and all the variables. I could do this, I could do that, I could do the other. I could do this, I could do that, look at that, I could do that over there, I enjoyed this, I enjoyed that. You'd be surprised if people spend 10 years going, ooh, you know, I wonder what I'm gonna be when I grow up. And they don't even know they've grown up and started getting old, and they're still trying to figure out what they're gonna be when they grow up. They're just going through, that's why in college they have guidance counselors to help you to make decisions to reach your objectives so that you're not taking an art class trying to get a law degree. I just like art. That's wonderful, but it may not be the course you need if you want a law degree. Your decisions need to line up with your destiny. I should be able to look at your decisions and see where you're going. I should be able to hear where you're going to be and know, well, she would make that decision because that's not where she's going. How many times have you made bad decisions? I cannot teach 7 steps to a turnaround without making you understand the power of making sound decisions. So if you're going to make sound decisions, you have to have good information. Which brings me to this. You may have to slow down your decision-making process. Some people make decisions too fast. One guy said, when you don't know what to do, do something. He was serious. I thought that was the most retarded thing I ever heard in my life. He said that 15 years ago, and I still remember that. I could call his name because I looked at him in that business and I thought that is well, never mind. I think a lot of things that probably are not professional. In all likelihood, may not be spiritual. Definitely are not pastoral. Sometimes they're not even Christian. That was one of those moments. I thought you must be out of your mind. That's what's wrong with us now. We just do something, close our eyes, do something crazy, and hope it works. I'm just gonna get married. I'm getting older, and I thought I'd be married by 25. I'm 32, and I'm still not married. Hey, come on, Willie. And you make decisions that change the next 20 years of your life. And all of us, every time you look at Willie, you've been married to Willie for 10 years, and you are angry, and you're angry. You argue with Willie all the time. But the truth of the matter is, you're really not angry with Willie. You're angry at yourself. You're angry because every time you look at Willie, Willie reminds you of a foolish decision. You say, how in the world did I do? And it's not fair to Willie that you made a foolish decision. Because Willie may be your nightmare, but he's somebody else's fantasy. But because you made a quick decision, you messed up your life and his life because you didn't learn to slow down, baby. Let me tell y'all something.
Welcome back to Sister Circle Live. We've been discussing our criminal justice and prison system and what needs to be changed. Right now, we want to dig in deeper and meet a man who has experienced this firsthand. Stet Fraizer was behind bars, serving time for drug charges, and now he's free and joining us today. Stet, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yes.
I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about how you ended up in prison and serving a life sentence. Let's go.
should I get immediate release?
Welcome back to Sister Circle Live. We've been discussing our criminal justice and prison system and what needs to be changed. Right now, we want to dig in deeper and meet a man who has experienced this firsthand. Stet Fraizer was behind bars, serving time for drug charges, and now he's free and joining us today. Stet, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yes.
I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you. Yes,
let's talk a little bit about how you ended up in prison and serving a life sentence. Let's go back to the beginning.
Yes. In 1994, I was indicted by the federal government for conspiracy to distribute crack cocaine. And me being indicted by the federal government, although I was a first-time nonviolent offender, I received life imprisonment. The life imprisonment allowed me to be in the federal system, and while I was in federal prison, then denied a fight, and I received life sentence, and so I tried to make the best of my stay while I was there.
Yeah. So, okay, 1994, you go to prison, you're 26 years old.
Yes.
And then you found out about the First Step Act in July of last year, correct?
Yes.
So talk about this act and the impact that President Trump had on that.
Yes, the First Step Act, when it first came out, I initially didn't believe it helped any of us. Because what President Trump did, he took President Obama's Fair Sentencing Act and he applied it and made it retroactive, meaning he applied it to those of us that was already incarcerated, because when President Obama passed the Fair Sentencing Act, it did not include us. It just would allow those who was coming into the system to benefit.
Okay.
So President Trump took Obama's law and made it to apply to those of us. Prior to me getting knowledge of it, I received a letter from the lawyer, my attorney, and he informed me that the judge had asked him to take my case. And once he was assuring that I would be released, I had requested that I stay in prison 10 additional days should I get immediate release. And so the 10 additional days was granted. So I was granted immediate release on July 24th, 2019, and I was released August the 2nd.
Why stay in for 10 days additionally?
Because as she just made note to that I was 26 years old when I went into prison. I spent 25 years in federal prison with those that I was incarcerated with, and they're my family. And so I wanted to assure them that I would continue to fight for them and raise my voice. Because back in 2016, I began to petition Congress on behalf of everybody under the crack cocaine disparity. And brothers and sisters throughout the system joined me. And I wanted to assure them that I was leaving to go home with my family, but I wanted to assure them that I'm gonna stay back with you 10 days to assure you that I would continue this fight and I wouldn't let up.
Yeah.
Nice.
Why is it so important for you to be a spokesperson, a crusader for the falsely accused and in prison, and they shouldn't even be there? Why is it important? You could really be spending time with your family.
Yes, most definitely I could be spending time with my family. I do the best I could to spend time with my family, but I understand that my voice, somebody don't raise their voice, this will stay quiet as I continue to sit in prison. I'm a first-time offender. There are many Black men and Black women that sitting in federal prison with life sentences under a law that don't exist any longer. Congress have admitted that they are wrong concerning the crack cocaine disparity. This been now 15 years that they have admitted that they was wrong, but nobody's willing to right this wrong. So as long as I begin to raise my voice concerning this and get others to join me concerning it, Congress can no longer sit quiet to something that target one group of people.
Right. We understand that your story is not over just yet. There's a chance you could actually go back to prison. We'll talk about that right after this break.
Welcome back to Sister Circle Live. We're back with Stet Fraizer. Now, Stet, you went from serving a life sentence to now being out here, thank God, with us.
Yes.
But one of the questions that, we touched on family in the last segment, and I just want to kind of get in your mind about being gone so long from your life.
Yes.
Talk to us about some of the things that were lost in those 25 years.
Beautiful family.
I mean, you have 8 beautiful children. And, you're 26 years old when you go in.
Yes.
Talk to us about what is missed. What is this injustice really doing to people?
Well, the injustice really destroy a family. Because the time I missed with my children, it cannot be replaced. It's an
Right.
irreplaceable factor. The time I didn't get to see my mother but 3 times while I was incarcerated, she passed in 2002. That time can never be given back to me. The system is set up, and it's more like a warehouse. I try to give when I got out, I dedicated my time to my children and setting up my business. It was nothing about anything else. My children was my priority.
What do you mean that it's like a warehouse? Talk to us about that.
Because it's like a warehouse because it does not transform human life.
Right.
An individual have to acknowledge they're wrong and admit they're wrong.
Yes.
They can only transform and begin to reform their life once they acknowledge they're wrong. And it's a warehouse because it don't have an outlet. You're just being placed in as a warehouse and moved around from institution to institution. So the system is set up as a warehouse today.
So it's really no reform then.
Right.
At all.
Why do you think, well, tell us why it could be a chance that you could actually go back?
Because there's an argument that's going on between federal prosecutors and federal judges. The federal judge is saying because I was indicted on 50 grams or more of crack cocaine, that sentence ran 10 to life. Today, 50 grams or more on the President Trump First Step Act is 5 years to 40 years. The prosecutors are arguing that because at sentencing, the judge held me accountable for so many kilograms of crack cocaine, that is the controlling of my sentence. So the judge is saying, no, it was the indictment. The indictment controls. You have to get the indictment, and judicial fact finding is something come after based off of what you was indicted on. So the prosecutor has my name on a list to place me back in federal prison, and my case is in the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. There are 4 circuits that has ruled in our favor, saying the indictment does control, and that's the 4th Circuit, the 5th Circuit, the 6th Circuit, and the 8th Circuit. Should the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals disagree with that, then I will have to go back in federal prison and continue my life sentence.
Tell us the difference in the sentencing for crack cocaine and powder cocaine.
Yes, crack cocaine and powder cocaine, there's a 100-to-1 disparity that we was being sentenced on. The 100-to-1 disparity is simple as this. 50 grams or more was 10 to life. So when you get to sentencing, they say at least 1.5 kilograms of crack cocaine, which street value is $40,000. That equates to 150 kilograms of powder cocaine, which is millions of dollars. That's how we've been sentenced. This law don't exist any longer, but you still have black men and black women sitting in prison under a law that does not exist any longer.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
My goodness. Stet, thank you so much for telling us your story. You did it so beautifully and eloquently. You can keep up with his story by following him on Instagram at Stet Fraizer.
Ready for Revolution. Welcome to part 2. Class is in session. I'm your brother and friend, Brother Eric Teray Muhammad, and who you saw on that screen just a moment ago is the man that's sitting in our presence today. This is Brother Stet Fraizer, wealth builder and business owner. Stet, you can unmute your mic. Okay, very good.
Yes,
man.
Sir.
Welcome, brother. Thank you, man, for being with us. I know you were on with us earlier this morning in the first part, watching the presentation there, and I know you have a lot on your plate, and you took time out of your schedule to be here with us. And we really appreciate it, brother. And I didn't want people to operate out of a vacuum, so I gave them the interview you did on TV One. And I just want to share with you that before I allow him to give us the results of or the findings of that circuit court, because it was rendered. And this month makes a full year that brother's been home. And I was there with the day he was released. And we took pictures and with the families, and we hugged and loved and fellowshipped, and just to watch his efforts city to city, talking about the disparities. But more so, he found it necessary to go back to the community he offended. And he's been reworking that community and talking to the youth and talking to the community and helping them do more for themselves, you know, as we all should. And brother, I just want to say to you personally, from my experience with you and growing with you since 2014, I really, really, truly appreciate your leadership. I truly appreciate your brotherhood, your fellowship, and I appreciate your fight, your quest for freedom, justice, and equality. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce you to Stet Fraizer and let him get it in with you. Hey, brother Stet, talk to the people.
Hey, brother Eric, thank you, brother. Thank you for the assistance you've been giving since 2014. Also, I was just on a conference call before this. before we just came on out with Dr. Douglas out of Henry County. He wanted me to talk to his staff. They're getting ready to go back to school. And so it's the middle school. And so I was just on a conference call addressing them about my life and the things that went on while I was in prison, as well as since I've been home from prison, and the things that I'm actually involved with and working with now.
Okay. Where are we since that TV One interview, which was just a few short months ago, and the discussion on how the prosecutors were trying to get you to go back to the prison and work that life sentence, go back to the life sentence? Where are we on that?
Yes. About a month ago, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeal ruled in favor of my case as well. It was like 6 of us that was actually on the list. And 3 of those that was on the list was Judge Stafford, the judge in my that run the decision on me to release me. So the 11th Circuit Court of Appeal ruled that the judge was in rights to release me, and ruled that my indictment did control, where the government was trying to say that based on the judge holding me accountable for so many kilograms of crack cocaine throughout my time in the conspiracy, that that my sentence should not have been changed, and I should have continued the life sentence. So that is over as of today. And the government dismissed the case with prejudice, meaning that they could not bring it back up because the 11th Circuit Court of Appeal ruled in my favor and sent my case back to the district court. So the government lost, where they was actually trying to put me back in federal prison. So 3 weeks ago, the lawyer contacted me and told me that the situation was over. I had won, and that the government had this case with prejudice, meaning that they could never bring this up again against me.
Praise be to Allah. Family, we're talking with Brother Stet Fraizer, fellow wealth builder. He's a part of Wealthbuilders Worldwide. And for 19 of the 25 years served, he has been serving that community of inmates, those incarcerated, some falsely, some own their responsibility to the crime, but you still have to prepare for a return to society. Something has to prepare you to give you a good footing, a good so that you don't go into the recidivism where you don't find yourself repeating, that vicious cycle. Okay, now one thing that I do appreciate about Brother Stet, and he can elaborate it on more so, into that aha moment. You were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Yes, sir.
What were your thoughts around it? Do you think you would ever be released? And what turned on in you to make you want to be there as a mentor, as a guide for those around you?
Yes, I felt one day I would be released, but that was never a question that was on my mind, Brother Eric. I understood many years ago that I couldn't do the time which I would be required to do, send my word about when I would be released. So that was something I didn't focus on. I just knew I would be released, but the point I wanted to make sure that when I was released, I was prepared, because I would watch that recidivism rate is like near 75%. And within the first 6 months to 3 years, 75% of those that leave incarceration violate the supervised release or return. So I didn't want to become a statistic. I watched many individuals come back and forth in the prison, and I would make it clear to them that they make it bad for individuals as myself that didn't have a release date, and then they come back in federal prison making excuses like the probation officer didn't like them. First of all, the probation officer don't know you. Second of all, the probation officer got more to worry about than your case and you. So, everybody come back making excuses. So, when I would see brothers come back in the system, I would admonish them and tell them, brother, you make it look bad for other individuals that don't have a release date. So I allowed their mistakes to be an example for me. So I knew that I couldn't come out and not be prepared. So with me being incarcerated, I worked on my business or my business plan or what I would actually do when I return home. And I've been speaking fluently throughout the federal prison system since 1998. So, and doing programs, doing fundraisers. So the things that I come home doing where it might be hard for the next individual, it's not hard for me, because that was my life. That was my life, and that's what I was doing. So, it's not hard for me to put a program together. It's not hard for me to do the things that I'm doing because that was what I practiced on doing, and that's what I came out doing what I live to do.
Well, give us an understanding of some of the things you accomplished there in the prison. When I became aware of you, there were people that were writing about you around the nation. They were talking about the work that you were doing in there. For those at the time that I came into knowledge, I think like 15 years into the process.
Yes.
Talk to some of the programs you were doing and why you deemed that necessary for for the fellow inmates.
Well, the programs that I was doing, where I was actually I was doing fundraisers. I started this in 1998. I used to work with the Youth Task Force out of Atlanta, Georgia. And I would get brothers to donate their money to causes that I knew was worthy of it. When I saw something like Emory University ran articles in 1998 on the crack babies, and they had a lot of these babies that they were showing, and these was crack babies in the paper. So I had ICE brothers to support me, and let's raise money and send money to Emory University. The woman that was over that project was Demetra Walls, and I made contact with her, and we sent money to Emory University. I was working with the Youth Task Force, where they was actually involved with helping legal defense, young girl, particularly named Lucretia Murray. She was 11 years old. The state of Texas had gave her 25 years. So to help set her defense fund, the Youth Task Force were working on her behalf. We got brothers to actually donate money to help in her case, and she actually did 3 years and was released. And when I got in Edgefield in 2001, I continued on. I did a fundraiser for this little girl, Lucretia Murray. And Lucretia, not Lucretia Murray, I meant to say, what her name is, her Reverend Frye was over it. And I did work with Reverend Frye today. In fact, Reverend Frye just dropped a letter to my judge to go to my federal judge. And the little girl was Divine Monroe, excuse me. She was a 4-year-old Divine Monroe. And she was in a hit and run incident. Her family didn't have any insurance, and so her hospital bill was very expensive. So I had asked the warden, could I raise money within the institution? So he gave approval, and with the grace of God, I raised like $1,800 in 3 days. And so we gave the money to turn it over to Reverend Frye. Reverend Frye came in on behalf of the mayor to thank us in the federal prison system. In fact, me and Reverend Frye worked today. He's setting up to bring me over to speak at the alternative schools in Augusta, Georgia, and to speak at the schools in Augusta. So when I did that fundraiser, Source Magazine contacted me, and they was doing it to do a story on me. So they did a story. It was in July 2000 magazine of Source, where they actually did a story on the work that I had been doing in the federal system. So that continued on. And the programs I was set up is a program that was called The Quality of Life. And this Quality of Life program is based on self-analysis, self-examination, self-correction. It focused on dealing with self. Don't worry about anything outside of yourself. Focus and deal with yourself first and foremost. So this course, in fact, this course led the re-entry throughout the BOP while I was in Edgefield, South Carolina, Talladega, Alabama. This course led the re-entry program. And it was a class that I had been instructing since 2001. And it was very successful. And it allowed individuals to come in this class. You had to have clear conduct. If you was getting incident reports, you was put out the class. You had to press your clothes and iron your clothes. It was showing you work ethics. It was showing you proper handling of people. It was showing you, it was actually giving you advice, communication skills. And it was able to actually help you to do something when you return back to society. Because my point was never that because I was incarcerated, I was never selfish enough to say that because I have a life sentence, I'm not going to try to assist the next young brother that comes in. My point was to always try to help them. And if they return to society in a better condition, then it was like I returned to society. So that's the concept I took while I was incarcerated. And brothers throughout the federal system that know me and highly respect me because of that position I took. you know, and staff members respect me because of that position I took. That's why when Judge Stafford released me, he called my conduct impeccable and an outstanding record. And so he used that of what he was able to read while I was incarcerated and base my release off of my conduct while I was incarcerated.
Praise be to Allah. So family, listen, I asked for that backdrop and that understanding. I want to share with you a regular tenant in our newspaper, The Nation of Islam. I'm a contributor to the Final Call newspaper published by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And we have what's known as the Muslim program, what the Muslims want and what the Muslims believe. We have a tremendous reform program, but I want to share with you some of the wants that are related here in the paper. It says we want freedom. We want a full and complete freedom. We want justice, equal justice under the law. We want justice applied equally to all, regardless of creed or class or color. We want equality of opportunity. We want equal membership in society with the best in civilized society. Okay? So we want our people in America whose parents or grandparents were descendants from slaves to be allowed to establish a separate state or territory of their own, either on this continent or elsewhere. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to provide such land and that the area must be fertile and minerally rich. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to maintain and supply our needs in this separate territory for the next 20 to 25 years until we are able to produce and supply our own needs. You know, point number 5. He says, we want freedom for all believers of Islam now held in federal prisons. We want freedom for all black men and women now under death sentences in innumerable prisons in the North as well as the South. We want every black man and woman to have the freedom to accept or reject being separated from the slave master's children and establish a land of their own. So there's a lot more to what's known as the Muslim program. Okay. And so you've seen this program articulated since the 1930s. This has been a systemic problem in society since the 1930s. And then when it was deemed that warehousing, as Mr. Fraizer stated in his interview, when it was deemed that warehousing was profitable, hoarding bodies in cells and moving them from space to place, just continuously relocating them, making room for other bodies to come in, this was nothing more than a profit share, you know. And so think about all the people that languish in prison. Think about all the people who are there, not just unjustly now, but it's unjust when you've paid your debts to society, but society never forgives you for the wrong or the correction of the wrong. They never allow you a footing up. So what Mr. Fraizer did inside those institutions and what he does now continuously, it serves two folds. One, he represents a victory for so many who thought there'd be no hope. Then he represents a victory because he's here continuing to work and keeping his word to a community that's been his family for more than 3 decades or close to 3 decades.
Yes.
They're not forgotten because of his efforts and his legacy. And that in itself is commendable. I want to show you a couple of things. Now, he speaks of prison reform, and he's been a great for me, a great inspiration and motivation for the things that we're embarking on. Now, I have a program that we're launching called the Wealthbuilders Prison Re-entry Program. Now, this is not a Wealth Builders worldwide activity. This is a wealth builder who is uniting with other wealth builders and other people who just understand that we need a better leg up, a better footing. And so we're going to share a little bit about that with you today. And it's about giving us a better start, a new start, a fresher start. There are a handful of people who have made a great adjustment. But you heard Mr. Fraizer. He said more than 75% of all that come out of the institution, they're returning within 6 months to 3 years. They return. You know why? Because the opportunity and the training and all those things that you heard, brother Wall Street this morning.
Yes, sir.
He has been incarcerated since he was 17 years old. He's still there. This is the year he comes before the parole board, but he's still there. You know, he created. I mean, he is guilty of the crime, but he had an aha moment while incarcerated. He was allowed to develop himself. He was allowed to grow into remorse. He was allowed to grow into self-examination, self-analysis, and he worked painstakingly to prove a point that there is a better way, and we should all come out on a greater or better way. You know, and it's no different than what Mr. Fraizer has introduced. And these are the things that help us to understand the power of being a servant leader. See, because when you serve your people, money's a byproduct of it. I'm telling you, when you serve your people, you will not have to worry about money.
That's right.
You know,
that's right.
Brother, are you hurting for income at all? Are you struggling with trying to make ends meet at all, Brother Stet?
No, sir. No, sir. In fact, my business.
I'm not trying to put your finger out there, don't.
Excuse me?
Yes, sir.
I say no. In fact,
I was gonna say I'm not trying to put your business out there, but you know, you can chime in on your resume a little bit. I think it's sensational.
Yes, my business is being very successful. You know, I was blessed to be vendors now with two big corporations, and those corporations, those jobs are very lucrative. You know, I won't go into how lucrative, but I put it like this: they're very good. I don't have that kind of power to open the doors that's been open for me. You know, and now with me being out, it's a certain product that I worked on, my own products that I said within 2 years of being out, some family members know what I'm talking about, but I will come out, my product that I have, that I worked on, I will bring that product out. I said within 2 years of being out. So since I hit the first year on August the 2nd, that was my first year. I have now started my product, which I worked all details. I found my chemist, which he's a brother in the Nation of Islam that I know I could trust, that will actually help me with this product and others. So it's a product that I will be coming out with very soon in the very near future. It's a product that I won't go into details now, but that's something else. And so I said within 2 years of being out that I will get on my product, I will bring my product out. So that's what I'm actually on. But as my business is being very successful. I get contracts. I can sub these contracts out, or I can actually do the job myself. Some jobs I choose to do myself, and then some jobs I will actually sub out. You know, and that's very good. With my business is very successful, and I'm very blessed to be out 1 year and my business is going as good as it's going. It really shocked me. I knew I would come out and start my business, but for it to move as fast as it is moving, only God has that kind of power. When he opened the doors for me because of my effort. I came out determined, and when I walked out, I told my federal probation officer that I didn't come to work for anyone. I have my own business. I was starting my own business, and he gave me the green light and respected it. And he see I put my money where my mouth was. I actually went after it and I accomplished it. And with the help of God, it's going good and it's very successful as I speak.
Let me share this with you, family. I learned more about holding companies, corporations, LLCs, diversifying income from this man you see on this screen than any college or university could have given me. You know, and he made it a point to share those kind of examples and that kind of training and that kind of hope with his fellow inmates. And when he came out ready. He came out ready to hit the ground running because he knew that he had more time behind him than he had ahead of him. And he was going to make up for all of that lost time best he could, you know, with a conviction, a sense of purpose. You know, you heard TDJ talk earlier about decisions, right? Sometimes you can stall and wait on making your decision and take yourself out of time, out of sync with the time.
Yes, sir.
You know, And what brother is doing is commendable, and also proof in the pudding that when you serve your people, people, and what happens is money becomes a byproduct of the service. You know, you won't have to worry. You won't have to nickel and dime your way through anything, you know. And so again, I'm so grateful. And the fact that he's never lost the contact, he's never disconnected himself from those that he served as their brother and friend, and his family supports him, and the community embraced him when he returned, and they allow him in the schools, and they allow him in the churches, and he's allowed before the city hall, he's allowed before the municipalities, and he shares and he gives. He's a major contributor to his community. He supplies jobs, and I'm telling you, this man has been on the ground now as of August 2nd, 1 year. But he had the end game long before then.
That's right.
He could see the end. He could see the eventuality. Don't sit on your dreams. Pursue your dreams. This man is living example, and he's a fellow business partner. So let me share with you a little bit more about this initiative. As soon as I find it, every time I get fired, man, I get around you, I get so fired up, man.
Yes, sir, brother.
So here we have the community fresh start effort. All right. And basically, what we do with this effort, you know, is a return to society with a leg up. Okay. You know, we help people understand financial literacy. We help with wealth building. We help with growing the network. People should be able to come to the floor with means, with substance. You shouldn't have to worry about the fact that you can't get public housing because you have a conviction. You shouldn't have to worry about not being able to get school grants or things of that nature because you have a conviction. You shouldn't have to worry about that. You have a genuine idea to build your business because you're a convict, you know, excuse the vernacular, because you're a convict, they won't make you available for many of the small business loans and things of that nature. Now, a lot has changed since this pandemic has come on. There's a lot more flushed out opportunity to get a piece of paper, okay? But still, to have a true leg up where you're not coming out wondering what's going to happen, you've actually built it. So we help you with helping you understand money. We need to know what money is and how it works. We help you understand the difference between assets versus liabilities and the types of corporations that are out here that help to protect you and insulate you and your dream. Okay, establishing a gold savings account and growing your wealth and growing your savings, literacy classes, social services. There are men and women out here who are more than happy to do the groundwork, the legwork for any of our incarcerated. So when they hit the ground, they hit the ground with a home. They hit the ground with a vehicle. They hit the ground with maybe some means of employment or reconnecting with their family. They'll hit the ground running.
Yes, sir.
You see, we need a leg up. We need a leg up. So as Sister Damawi, I just read her comment there, you know, a prime example of giving back. That's what brother is. Yes, that's exactly what he is. And this is what we can do. And it doesn't have to wait until people get a release date. We help dream big for them now. You know how many of our families are affected by incarceration? You know how many children are out here without their mothers and fathers? You see, you know, how many homes have been broken?
Mm-hmm.
We have the way as wealth builders. We have the way, and we're going to show how to set those things up with this opportunity under the Wealthbuilders Prison Re-entry Program. So I'm going to share over the next couple of days how we can get together. We're going to mastermind this project. And we're going to roll it out in degrees and accomplish small victories as we grow to the larger ones. But people need to be able to save while they're down. People need to be able to save so that when they come out with means, and not, as brother said, you know, they put all that money on the books in the canteen for snacks and foods and things of that nature, and you come out with $200, but you spend $40,000 in snack cakes and Snickers. Yeah. You know. It's a financial literacy, control of an appetite. These are the things that we have to do, you know. And Sister Damari, not only are you in, but you are a great inspiration for it as well. So it all rolls with us. So I want to thank y'all for the opportunity to share. We're going to be on a little longer, as long as Stet would like to, because we had you saw the storm that came through here. It took us offline. He asked me, he said, "Hey man, can they still see us? We can't see anything. Can they still see us?" I'm like, "Sure, I see it on the phone." And as soon as I said it, everything went black. And then I looked up again, I see Stet on the screen. I said, "Where am I at? I couldn't find me." You know? But I'm glad it was restored. You know.
Yes, sir.
Stet, how's the family, man? How the children doing?
Everybody's doing fine, Brother Eric. They doing fine, you know. I'm grateful to be home with them, and it's likewise with them. You know, I'm going out there with the help of God to expand business so that soon and one day I'll be able to provide jobs. My children will actually be working not for me but with me. You know, and that's my goal, and that's what I'm focused on right now. You know, I don't make excuses. I don't believe in excuses. I know I can do anything I put my mind to, and I stay focused on that. And that's it. That point is to get my family and put them in a better position. And I know with the help of God, I built myself up through 25 years to be able to do that. You know, and I tell people, I made the best of my stay. I came out well prepared. You know, I know what to do. I know how to do it. And so I'm one that I consider I'm a go-getter. You know, I don't make excuses. I take it on and accept the challenge, and I go after it, and I know I can accomplish it. You know, and so that's how I say it. You know, so once I get my family in a better position financially, which I'm capable of doing with the help of God, because I have that type of mindset, because I built it up through the years, because that's all I did was study and prepare myself for this day. So, you know, then I can say, okay, I can slow down a little now. But right now, I'm still on the go, and I don't slow down.
Hey, let me tell y'all this too. Bro, man got a green thumb for real. I've watched those acres and all those rows of vegetables that he planted. And did I see watermelon? I saw the squash. I saw the cucumbers. I saw the eggplant. I saw the greens.
Yeah, watermelons. Yeah, I had some watermelons.
You did have it.
I had a few watermelons. Yes, sir. But I'm getting ready. God willing, I'm getting ready to do. I'm gonna do a fall garden also. But it'll be a garden where I won't work as hard, because see, I did all the groundwork on that. I used the tiller, and you know,
you did all of it. Yeah.
The COVID-19 had just started, so you know, I was about getting out there sweating and just really pushing that tiller in the ground myself, and so I literally turned the ground myself. 4 and 5 hours nonstop in the hot sun, pouring down sweat doing this, and I enjoy doing it. So I won't work that hard this time. I will have somebody to come with a larger tractor to come turn the ground for me. But I'm looking to do a fall garden.
Yes, sir. All praise to God. Yeah, I may not come with the tractor and do all that you're doing, but I will come with this.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I'll have my gloves, and I'll have my pickup truck, and I'll come and get some of that harvest, and I'll drive back to the A.
All right, that's good enough. That's good enough. Yes, sir, that's good enough.
You know, I love you, brother, man, and beyond words. And I really thank God. I really thank God that He's put us in this thing.
Yeah, and I thank you for all your support, Brother Eric. When I was fighting with the help of Allah, fighting hard in prison and trying to get the recognition on what was going on through Brother Anthony. He got you involved, and that's when we met, and you carried the story to put it out there, you know, and I worked tirelessly, and I never slowed up and never stopped. You know, the officers, I used to send so many packages out, you know, and the officers were so familiar that when I come to the mail room, I got stacks of letters that I'm sending out to professors, to Congress, to so many. And they were so used to it. And, you know, I come up there and and this was 2 years straight, nonstop. Regardless of no congressional member responded back to me, I continued to bombard. And I continued to send the packages out and try to make that recognition and try to get the recognition. Even when I went to Savior's Day, and I was blessed to meet the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he sent for me that night. And that night when I went to see him, and he was standing there and he talked to me, and he was like telling me, brother, you don't slow up. You're on the right path. The Lord will bless you. You stay that course. You do not bite down. So, that was instructions to me right there. Keep going. Even though y'all want to put me back in prison, if that's what you want to do, and if God permit that, if my going back would have highlighted it, I didn't stop talking because they chose to put me back. In fact, I was continuing to go. If that's what you want to do, let's go. God can never use a coward. And I make it clear to people. You can't be afraid. He can never use a coward. If you're afraid and a coward, then you need to sit down and shut up. He can never use a coward. So if you give me that challenge and say you're going to do this, then I'm going to accept that challenge. And let's see, can God bite me, or is he going to bite you to do what you say you're going to do to me? That's the type of mentality I have. You say you're going to do it, then I'm going to call you out. And I'm going to see that you have that kind of power to say that what you say you're going to do, I'm going to call you out to see, do you have that kind of power? That's the mentality that I grew up and developed having, being in the prison system.
Man, God can't use no coward.
At all.
Woo! Telling the truth there, brother. Telling the truth there. Family, I want to thank y'all. I want all y'all to give some hand claps and big shout outs to Brother Stet Fraizer. Stet, is there any communication that you're willing to leave with the people, how they can find you?
Yes. They can email. My email and my web page. My email is stetfraizer@gmail.com. And the web page is still up, 100to1disparity.org. 100to1disparity.org. And my email is stetfraizer@gmail.com.
Yes, sir. I'm sending it through now. And 101 Disparity?
Yeah, 100to1disparity.org.
Okay. How's Brother Corey doing?
Oh, Corey's doing fine. I talked to another that he called. He's on the his bar exam, and so he's doing a lot of studying right now. So he had a few minutes the other day, so he called to check on me.
Yes, sir.
But Corey's doing fine. I'll make sure I tell if he's not online watching. I'll make sure I tell him that you asked about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I might, now that you told me he's involved with his study for the bar, I won't call him. I want him to have all that concentration because we need him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Most definitely. Most definitely.
So, family, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Brother Stet. I'll just show a quick recap here before we close out. We started this morning with Brother Curtis Wall Street Carroll.
Yes,
I titled it From Prisoner to Professor. And I got to give big shout outs to Brother Sway, who did the interview. Sway always respected me and appreciated me, but I didn't like him. And I'm so embarrassed that I didn't like Sway.
Yes, sir.
Until years later. It took me years later. I'm in Harlem with him, in New York, we're doing different things, Yes, and I don't know why. He didn't do anything to rub me the wrong way. I just felt like I didn't click with him. And he was nice, and he was cordial and knowledgeable, and he would share. And I'm like, man, okay, all right. But man, over these last few years, I became a straight up groupie. And then seeing this interview this morning, now the interview was done in 2017, man, and just hearing him and watching him bring out of brother what needed to be conveyed.
Yes,
having a pulse like he did. I mean, it was powerful, man. Big ups to him as well as Brother Curtis. I pray God that he's blessed with the victory of seeing outside, because there's a whole lot that the world is waiting for.
Yeah, and Brother Curtis, yes, sir.
Yeah, and so between what he offered and what you offer and where we are as people who can finance the freedom and finance the way and teach others to get that way, there's nothing that we can't do. There's nothing we can't do. True. So I thank Brother Curtis for sharing his heart and giving us a greater understanding of not leaving people behind the walls because they did do something and just dismiss them as if God is not making a way. Look at this all through the scripture. How many of our prophets and warners that he have in the belly of whales and locked down in prisons, and they wrote letters that are read now centuries down the road? Come on.
Yes.
You know,
most definitely.
Yeah. So look, everything we see, and we're only just beginning.
Yes, sir.
We're only just beginning. I want everybody, once again, the 2020 Paper to Gold Run to Wealth Conference and Expo is happening next Saturday, August 22nd from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Today is the 14th, folks. The early bird tickets end on midnight, August 18th, 4 days away. $11 can get you a multi-million-dollar experience. You want to be there. www.runtowealth.info, www.runtowealth.info. We're straight out, as Mr. Best would say, flat out excited. And we have something to offer. We have something to offer. I mean, holistically, all the way around. We're positioned now to welcome our sisters and brothers home. We're in a position now to welcome any citizen home that wants a leg up on society. You know,
yes, sir.
I consider the prison element an ark as well. It's a space of refuge as well, because they were pulled out of all this madness that's going down. What do they return to when they're released?
That's right.
We have a way. We can return them to a dream. We can return them to a future. Anyway, www.runtowealth.info is where you can get your tickets. And for those who don't have a gold savings account and you're desirous of one, if you have not reached out to anyone on this platform to find a way of how you can get it, then I encourage you to take a look at this screenshot, because there's a way you can get your free gold savings account as well as gain admission into the event. Hey, brother George Catini, I'll be stealing your posts all the time, brother, and I'm not ashamed to say it. There in Mexico. All right, family, take a shot of that card. The next stop will be this evening at 9 p.m. We're going to be on www.goldrocks.info. It's our live wealth building event, and it would do the heart good to see and hear what's being presented so you can better your future. And of course, tomorrow, 8 a.m., we're back with classes in session, and it's a special class in the session. It won't be 2 parts, but I'm going to give you the tenets of a student, the responsibilities of a student. And so 8 a.m. we'll be there, and I look forward to us being together and joining everything on the other side of money. Brother Stet, peace and power. Love you, brother. Have a blessed day.
You and likewise to you also, brother. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for bringing me on. May Allah
All praise
continue
to
to bless
Allah.
you.
All praise to Allah. All right, family, we're out. Thank you. Forward.
Yes, sir.
Peace, strong words, love, soul, and change. Yeah, this is Big Snoop Dogg, coming at you live and direct. And I got something to say. You dig?
Let's change the world, divided we fall, but united we stand. Let's change the world, no fights, no wars, oh let's learn to love again. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Whoa, oh, oh. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.
Brother, 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 what will you discover if we come together and do it like we never? I'm just sick and tired. I'm fit to light the fire. Now put this on the wire. The devil is a liar. I do this with no hesitation. Meet me at the reservation. Elevating, educating, meditating, concentrating. Replenish ya, finish ya, opposite of sinister. And I do it for the minister.
Let's change the world, divided we fall, but united we stand. Let's change the world, no fights, no wars, oh let's learn to love again. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Whoa, oh, oh. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.
Somebody need to stop the war. Man, the war ain't overseas, it's at your front door. And I done seen too many brothers shot up on the floor for more than drugs and some colors. And now you call us warlords. But if you can help it, then help it. But you ain't helping us. You so selfish and selfless, you wanna see us breathless and helpless. But I'ma hustle and tussle for all my brothers who struggle. Yeah, we bang the world. Now let's change the world.
Let's change the world, divided we fall, united we stand. Let's change the world, no fights, no wars, oh let's learn to love again. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Whoa, oh, oh. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.
No killing, no shooting, no dying, no lying, no gang banging, so no more mamas crying. Everybody get along, man, that be the perfect song. Peace in the streets as I sit back on my phone, chilling with the president. He let me in the White House, back to the castle with the minister. No doubt, shoes at the front door. Love is what you come for. Let's get it right and unite, but do it right.
Let's change the world, divided we fall, but united we stand. Let's change the world, no fights, no wars, oh let's learn to love again. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Whoa, oh, oh. Let's change the world, let's change the world, let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.